and nothing else. We didn't have a brain. We didn't have arms and legs. We didn't have anything. We were just a heart, and it began to beat. Science could never understand how the heart could beat when there was no intelligence. But it was HeartMath in Stanford who discovered that there is actually a brain inside the heart. It's small. It's made of only 40,000 cells, but it's made of brain cells, not heart cells. And so the heart has its own intelligence that allows it to begin life without anything else. And then there's this stage where the human body comes out of the heart. It emerges out of it. And we have our brain and our arms and our legs and everything else, and then the heart is pulled into the body, just like the Egyptians did thousands of years ago, and was brought back into the body. And we began our life in what we normally think is true. But from this image, you can see that the heart is more primal than the brain and more important, because it was the first stage of development that we all went through. Now to go into another level, in the Bible and in other holy books in the world, they recognize that there was a time of the Great Flood and the fall of humanity from a time when we were much different than we are now. And in a lot of the books, it's written about as dimensional drops, that we fell from higher dimensions down into this lower dimension here. There's different ways of looking at it, but the simplest way was all we did was we moved from our heart to our brain, and that was what the fall was. We just moved a few inches away, and from there, for the last 13,000 years, we've been living in our brain. And we've forgotten about our heart. We don't remember it. And that is what an ascension that so many people are talking about now, that's all ascension is. Dropping the brain, leaving it completely 100%, and moving back into the heart. And living there, actually seeing through our eyes from the heart, not from the brain. You can do this. We have done it before, and we can do it now. We know exactly how to do it. And so do you. It's just it's a memory, and it will come back at the right moment. And so the heart has a sacred place inside of it that's recorded in many of the ancient books of the world, and it's called the sacred place of the heart, and it's in two parts. There's an inner part and an outer part, and the outer part is when you enter in there. It is the stillest place in existence, and there is no movement. It's like being in the center of the hurricane. There's this movement all around us, but there it is absolutely still. And then there's this tiny place that's inside of there, this little tiny place. It's usually, for me, it's only 6 or 7 feet around. It's very small. But it's also talked about as the tiny place of the heart in the ancient writings. And when you step into that place, the vibration moves upward, and this is the place where all of the universes that we know were created, including the one of the stars and the planets that we are in now. And it literally took form and shape there. And then we have now mapped it. We have been given the whole mapping, all the way from once the image is created, exactly how it gets out into the world around the outside of our bodies, and how it becomes what appears to be an external world. It is not an external world. It is an internal world. And this is going to be, at first, a shock to some of us, and then when the memory comes in, we'll remember that this was how it has always been. And there's so much. It's so much to give. I could only give you little bits and pieces of it all. But the way to connect back to the original source of all life everywhere, there is a pathway. There are many pathways, but there is one pathway that has been used over and over and over by many people in this world. It was used by the Great White Brotherhood. It was used by the Hindus. It was used by the Tibetans. It's used by people even in Colombia, the Arhuacos and the Kogis, and it was also used by the Zulu, and still is. And there's a way that you can use the tip of your tongue to rub it on the roof of your mouth, and when you are inside of your heart space, that reconnects to the thalamus glands. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of this. And when you reconnect to the thalamus gland in this way, the alpha waves begin to fire in the 4 quadrants of your brain in very high levels, and they go into a balance. And when they do, the pineal gland, which is an eyeball, which is hollow and has color receptors in it and has a lens on top of it. This is scientifically fact. It is the third eye. That eye rotates into the direction of where the third eye opening is on the head, and we reconnect with another gland, which is the pituitary gland, which is the chakra itself, which is sitting in that place. And a green light appears inside of our inner vision, and that green light turns into a spiral that connects with that other chakra. And when it does, this energy hits you. It's amazing. And then there's another chakra out in space, out in front of you, which is linked to another gland inside of your brain. And at that moment, when that happens, your head glows, and a halo appears around your head, which science has now photographed and is recorded. And these 8 beams of light that look like cylinders come out of your head and connect to this sphere. And at that moment, your third eye is wide open. And the final step is that you begin to see from your heart, not your brain, not using psychic energy, which is what usually people have been doing, but you see from your heart, and you can now see from a new sense the world that we are so familiar with, and you begin to see all the energies that are all around trees, and these lines of energies that look like roots that are moving between people. And all the communications are opened on all levels, not only between people, but between everyone. We are one living being, one life form, and we are forgotten. We are just cells in a larger body, and what that will become, we will remember this, we will know this beyond any doubt, and this is going to happen any minute now.
You know, traveling with elders, having the privilege of traveling with elders of long lineages of traditional wisdom around the world, taking them to meet one another. One of the things that, there are 2 questions, or 2 things they would always say. One was a question, and that was, who are you?
Yes.
And the second was, you must remember.
Yes.
And so it was interesting because they take us to a place of that, I call it inner verse, or where they function from the space of we know it all, we just have to remember. Yeah. Versus our system of education is that we don't know anything and we have to study in order to find it. And it's quite a paradox, but the longer I've been on the path, the more truth I find in that.
Yeah, we know everything. Actually, we have the entire Akashic records of every event and every word that has ever been said or ever will be said is all recorded within this tiny space in our heart and the outer space around that heart. And we know everything. There isn't anything that we don't know. But it's true. It's memory. And our memory was severed when we fell, mostly. But it was never really severed. It was just an illusion. And it's still there perfectly intact in every single one of you. And no person, no living thing, not only human, but no living thing in existence is going to be left out of this movement that is about to take place here. I'm going to say something now that normally would seem kind of impossible, but I'm going to say this to you, and I mean you as an individual, not as the audience, but you as an individual. And but I mean it exactly in that way, though it's a paradox right now, but when you remember, it won't be a paradox. But this entire universe of all the stars and planets and all the galaxies And all the various dimensional levels and parallel worlds and everything that has been created that is out here right now was created solely and only for you. You are the center of all life everywhere. How can that be? It's hard to understand because we live in polarity, and we see everything as good or bad, or black or white, or up or down, and we can't see the unity of everything. In truth, there is only one spirit, and there is only one universe and one life, and that one spirit moves through everyone and everything, and that's who we are. And so when I say that, I'm talking about not your human personality, I'm talking about who you really are. And that is that what you are, the one spirit, which we call God, and the source of all life everywhere. And now when you say that, and when you see it from that point of view, this whole universe was created only for you.
Ashe. I remember Baba Credo Mufar, one of the other things he said is that, I wanted to end on this and then open up for questions. He said that when we go through this shift, that the people of the stars will return, and when they do, they'll find us worthy.
Yes. Yeah. They are here now. I mean, the lower levels are here now. I mean, it's only the people that ride around in ships are the lower levels. The higher levels don't have to be here. They are here. They are the rocks. They are the trees. They are everything.
Absolutely.